Emily Kramer, Persuasive Speech. In the village of Nalato on the Yukon River, two boys were down at the village dump doing what they normally do on a Saturday, shooting stuff around. They heard a weird noise which sounded like a muffled crying, so they followed the noise to a fresh patch of earth that was at the dump. And upon digging down, they found a box that had been filled with 12 unwanted puppies buried alive at the village dump. One of their shots had penetrated the ground and killed a couple of the puppies at the top, causing the ones at the bottom to panic. Of the 12 puppies, the boys managed to save 2 that day. An incident like that could have been avoided if Nalato would have had an animal shelter. Although villages have limited resources, an animal shelter would benefit our community of Shaktoolik by providing resources for our domesticated animals and information for our citizens about proper care. Dogs dominate the domesticated animal population in villages, but no matter what kind of animal it is, they all deserve proper care and each owner deserves access to resources. An animal shelter would help reduce such instances of animal cruelty as the one in Nalato, and also reduce the number of unwanted litters. It would also give people an alternative to ignoring the problem or trying to solve it by condemning loose and unwanted dogs to death. An animal shelter would benefit us by being a source of information, and I know that an animal shelter is not a common idea among villages, but as an animal advocate, I am offering a different choice. Animal cruelty is a prevalent issue in our community. An animal shelter would provide educational resources on proper human-animal relationships. With better materials and resources, we can change the way we treat animals and teach our youth basic kindness. What constitutes animal cruelty? That is not a widely known fact around here. Well, the ASPCA, or the American Society for Prevention of Cruelty to Animals, says that when someone intentionally harms or injures an animal, or when a person willfully deprives an animal of food, water, or necessary medical care, that is animal cruelty. Leaving a domesticated animal tied up for its entire life is normal in villages. But domesticated animals need regular exercise, daily access to food and water, and shelter from the elements. Tying up your dog is responsible, but denying it basic necessities is animal cruelty. Because of our overpopulation of dogs, they are the most common victims of animal cruelty we see in villages. We need to teach our children that hurting animals is not acceptable. Inhumane views of domesticated animals leads to people considering it normal to hurt an animal if they're feeling mad or annoyed. Oftentimes, because there is no animal shelter here, unwanted dogs, young and old, are just shot because no one wants them anymore, and it's not always quick and painless. The only time it's appropriate to shoot a dog is if it's suffering or is aggressive and violent. But the most standard cases of dogs being shot in villages isn't because of violence and aggression. It's because no one wants them anymore and there's nowhere for them to go. When will we realize that cruelty is just plain unacceptable? If we keep treating domesticated animals cruelly, we teach our children cruelty is an acceptable behavior. So how long will it be before we start accepting cruelty towards each other as normal? Why do compassionate, well-meaning people leave their dogs tied up for life, often with no shelter or access to food and water? There are many reasons, but probably the most common is because it's considered easier. Most of us know that the right choice isn't always the easy choice. Limited resources makes life here arduous, resulting in people taking shortcuts where they can to save overall time and money. Our lack of resources also makes it next to impossible to provide proper care for our domesticated animals. We face such issues as trying to afford a $600 ticket to Nome just to get our pet to the vet, not even including the actual vet costs for the care. Prices in town are inflated, and with the limited job market, we can barely afford to care for ourselves and our families. How can we be expected to also be able to care for our domesticated animals? Also, some people just don't know how to control or train their dog. It takes time and effort on our part to teach animals how to behave in our society. It is understandable that people choose to use that time and effort to care for their families and take the easy way out when it comes to their dogs. So why would Shaktoolik benefit from an animal shelter? Well, an animal shelter would provide information like how to do basic training with dogs. It would provide basic things that aren't available here, like chains, collars, or bowls. The loose dogs and unwanted puppies of our villages would have a place to go without putting an extra burden on our citizens. With an animal shelter, we can apply for funding and programs that bring vets here to perform spaying, neutering, vaccinations, and other pet care at a reduced price. There's a nonprofit organization in Anchorage called Friends of Pets, and in 2005, they spayed and neutered over 1,200 pets in rural Alaska. Veterinarians like Dr. Eric Jane work with programs like that one to provide medical care for villages. He's made his career traveling throughout Alaska, bringing what we cannot afford to go and get ourselves. Other programs even offer animal wellness and public health and safety clinics to help us provide care for ourselves and each other when there aren't professionals around to assist. The number one cause of overpopulation in villages is people not fixing their dogs. Spaying and neutering not only reduces the number of unwanted litters, but HappyCanine.com cites many health benefits too, as in prolonged life expectancy, less aggression, and the reduced chances of developing cancer. So why should we even care enough about domesticated animals to take that extra step and go that extra mile to ensure their safety and our own? Well, animal health and human health go hand in hand. Animals are a huge part of human life. Dogs, for one, have been our helpers and companions for 12,000 years. Proper relationships with animals benefits overall human wellness. There's an international nonprofit organization called the SOS Children's Villages. They have studies that illustrate how animal-assisted therapy aims children away from violence, anger, and fear. So animals can help us in many ways we cannot help ourselves, and it's our responsibility as humans and as a community to care for domesticated pets. Animal cruelty might be considered normal in villages, but it is just not acceptable by humane standards. Dogs who are left up their whole lives suffer greatly. This is a picture of an embedded collar. It is a common occurrence among dogs who are never released from their chains. Pass that around. We need to stop this kind of stuff from happening. It's our responsibility as a community to care for the community's domesticated animals. Putting together an animal shelter now can overall cut costs for us in the future. Help reduce the problem. Spread awareness about spaying and neutering. If we all do our part, then the problem takes care of itself. Make the right choice and take a stand for animals who have served as our companions for thousands of years. We all make mistakes, and we only get one try in this life, so making the right choice as often as we can is something that we should take advantage of. Bringing an animal shelter to Shaktoolik would be making the right choice easier to make for the rest of us who just aren't sure if they can afford to make that kind of choice. As an animal advocate, I am choosing to make the right choice, to make our community a better place for generations now and in the future. Thank you.